Coming up,
failing is one thing. Failing publicly is a very hard thing.
hey everyone, so I'm at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston's preferred choice, and this week on the Trailblazers, we have Damion Crawford, opposition senator, managing director of Crafton Holdings, university lecturer, and so much more, sharing his inspiring story of making it from the ghetto, the lessons that he's learned to date from his failures, and why he believes it's crucial to live the life that you deserve. Stay tuned.
Special thanks to our partners, the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, Kingston's preferred choice. Stars Publicity for all your public relations and publicity needs. Get noticed and align with the stars. DG's Health and Wellness Center, operated by certified nutritionist and health columnist Donovan Grant. Contact them today for all your weight loss and other nutritional needs. And Care is Beauty for all your skincare goals and more. Get 5% off each purchase from them using the discount code TAMARA5OFF. Learn more details on all these partners as well as links to their website by visiting the description box on the Trailblazers with Tamara McHale YouTube channel.
What's your word to them?
I would say to fight for your dreams, fight for your purpose.
Life that inspires you, that motive that you aspire to be.
Right? Meaningful and critical. It's not a waste time movement here, man.
In my humble opinion, is become very comfortable with yourself.
Very important. You know, the saying in Jamaica, one hand can't clap.
You forgive yourself for allowing people to mistreat you.
Disciplines that we need to embody.
You just have to work at it and be committed. Everyone.
And scary to have all of that fall away from you. And you have to celebrate those wins. Work with fitness clients.
For guidance, rely on Christ for support.
And no rush. I did it. I made my move into entrepreneurship at 40.
So scared that when
what last comments would you want to share with
you have your core values, you do the right things, it'll fall in place for you.
Damion Crawford is a Jamaican politician, businessman, and university lecturer. He has served in various capacities nationally and is a former state minister for tourism and entertainment. He is currently an opposition senator. As an entrepreneur and businessman, Crawford is the managing director of Crafton Holdings, manufacturer and distributor of super fresh liquid eggs. The company in 2018 was awarded by the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association for being the new manufacturer of the year. Crawford also has a passion and love for education, and in addition to being a university lecturer, regularly gives back by offering free math classes and more to students. This young and dynamic trailblazer delves into his journey, lessons learned, and tips for success in this another riveting episode.
Hi Damion, it is a pleasure to have you joining us on the Trailblazers. And I must let my guests know, we all know it's not a political program, but Damion has quite an inspiring story, and we felt that it was important that he was one of the persons that we could share and hear from him. So welcome.
Thank you very much, and I thank you for considering me a trailblazer. I'm actually flattered.
Yes, you are, and no doubt you are a trailblazer, especially for the young people. They really do look up to you. All right, so just diving right into your journey, because I know you grew up in the inner city community, what we Jamaica call ghetto. And so it's interesting to see somebody that grew up in the ghetto. I'm always fascinated by those stories. And then you were able to rise to, be a politician and be a businessman and inspiring and educating as well as a lecturer. So tell us how it all began about your early years.
Yeah, well, I'm from a lane called Little Lane. That is basically near Waltham and Hagley Park Road. If you know where Peter Phillips constituency office is, it's a lane, a dead-end lane right behind that constituency. So that is what Jamaicans would call a squatter community, more appropriately called an informal settlement. So I grew up in that community where we had zinc fence as the perimeter fencing, and we had what you call a standpipe, which was really social water. So you would go to the standpipe. So yeah, that is where I originated from. Went to Half a Tree Primary, of course, by taking the bus. And in those days, a lot of cars weren't available. And then, fortunately, I passed common entrance and went to Kingston College.
Awesome. So for you then, I mean, very often we've seen the narrative of, you know, children, kids who grow up in inner city or, you know, squatter or ghetto communities, and sometimes they take a different route. They end up in a life of crime, they end up dead. So what was it for you, especially in those early years, that led you along a different path?
Well, first of all, I don't agree that many are led into the life of crime when it compares to those who go to the university. So if you really look at it, is the over promotion of their criminal participation and the under promotion of their educational participation. And that is unfortunate because it also caused for them to believe that that is the way they should go. For 11-year-old or 12-year-old, the attempt by us as a country is to remove some of the barriers that exist for those to go towards educational achievement, and to increase the barriers for those to go towards criminal activity. One of those barriers is role models, and I had a role model in Ransford Graham, Senator Ransford Graham, who's my uncle. So a lot of people don't know that there are two of us in the Senate right now, my uncle on the JMEA side and myself on the PNP side.
Interesting.
So Ransford Graham is my mother's brother. My mother's name is Lena Graham. So what happened was that he went to the university. He also went to KC. And he was the first in our family to have gone to the university. And by extension, he became a role model to me. And so one of the reasons I keep pushing the first in the family as a policy proposer is because I know the impact and influence of that one person getting into the straight and narrow, getting into the university, seeing the outcomes that he has achieved, a house for himself, a family, a car, and then also hoping to achieve those things, see that as the avenue through education. The average inner city person, they see the sports as the role model, they see the criminal as a role model, they see the entertainer as a role model. And so by extension, none of those are high demands for academic prowess. And to a large extent, in particular males, they don't participate because of that. So yeah, I have my uncle as a role model.
And that's very good. You know, one of the things I'm always interested in, because you've always seemed to be, because back when you were in your university days, just, you know, in terms of knowing your story, which is out there, you were also the president of the Guild of Students. So was it like from an early age that you were like just a natural leader, that kind of personality that's out there kind of thing?
I was groomed like that because my father always said he was growing a prime minister. So that was always his statement. I remember once a fellow, he's dead now, God rest his soul, Mr. Amos. He sent me to, we call him Pussfoot actually. Because you know in the inner city most people have a name, so we call him Pussfoot. So he sent me to buy a cigarette, and my father, having found out that he sent me to buy a cigarette, he was very, very angry, and he said to the guy, Mr. Amos, "Oh, if you send my people to buy a cigarette, you know, it's a prime minister may go." So I was always groomed by my father. If we're even singing a song, he would have been upset if you're singing the chorus. He felt that you should sing the lead. So
wow.
And it was even, and it just on the radio. We're not talking about an choir or anything. Just you singing a song on the radio. The average person wanted the most known part of the song is the chorus. He felt that you should be singing the part where Whitney Houston is intervening in the chorus with some screams and things like that, right? So yeah, so I was kind of groomed that way. And then because he was kind of like the most successful on the lane there, because he had a job and he was building a concrete house, and instead of going to the pipe with a bucket, we went with a hose in the night. So some of that accrued to me as Boogie's son. You understand? That was his nickname. His name was George. We call him Boogie. So because I was Boogie's son, I was like the leader because I was his son. And so, yeah, so I don't know if it was a personality that I was born with, but it was definitely inculcated in me at that time. But the first time I volunteered to lead, because many people lead without volunteering. Your friends just choose you as the leader. And there's no single permanent leader among friends, because different realities will cause for another leader. So I might be the leader in this area, but when we're doing sports, somebody else might be the leader. Or when we're talking about computer, somebody else based on their knowledge and their abilities. So the first time I volunteered to lead was at the university in the Bahamas. That's where I studied first. So I studied tourism management in the Bahamas.
Oh, you didn't study at UE?
No, my initial degree was in the Bahamas.
Oh,
when I was doing my master's, I was the guild president at UE.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I'm older than people think. It's just because I'm used not in order. I'm being fresh.
Funny.
But yeah. So my brethren, his name was Andre. He said to me, "Yo, I think you should lead. You should be the president." I was like, "Yo, why am I be the president? I don't want to take on that stress and whatever." And he said, "No, the people respect you and I think you should be the president." And I volunteered. I nominated to be the president. That's the first time that I really volunteered to be. But on other aspects, I've been appointed the leader just based on either my association or because I was the one at KC or something like that. Yeah.
And I like what you mentioned just earlier in terms of your dad and the influence and the role that he played. And to me, it sort of even is a kind of respect that he had for you as a parent. Like, because, you know, sometimes your parents, they will see something in you that even you yourself have not seen yet, but they just have that vision for you. Mm-hmm. So you would say then that sort of has steered you along the trajectory of your life to date?
Yeah, for sure. You see, and these are simple mathematical things. I do a lot of math, and I even do some volunteer math classes on YouTube. Mathematics is training to solve problems, and one of the problems we have in Jamaica is that we are not trained to solve problems. I mean, if Bolt went to the Olympics and he didn't have any training, he would lose. So we are not trained in problem solving. In fact, most Jamaicans say they're afraid of maths or them hate maths. So by extension, when a problem arises, they don't know how to approach that problem. They don't know to solve for X or to solve for Y. So what you have recognized is that the family structure in Jamaica is creating an uneven playing field, because the children in the more upper echelons have two parents, and the ones in the lower echelons often have one. And so from an economic standpoint, one income is less than two income. But from a social standpoint, one influence is less than two influence. Now, as a boy, it is difficult to believe that your mother knows how to be a man, because she has never done it. In your mind, in the social sciences, we call it other efficacy. Do I believe you know? So if Bolt want to teach me how to run, I will go. But if you want to teach me to play basketball, I'm not so sure. I don't think he knows how to play basketball sufficiently to teach me. So a lot of boys don't believe that their mother knows how to be a man. And so by extension, they don't take her interventions in the same way that they take their father's intervention or another male intervention. Now, when you really look at what's happening in our society, they have no male intervention at home. The majority of our teachers are females. The majority of our guidance counselors are females. And so therefore, they have almost no male intervention. And even if they're being told the right thing, the limited other efficacy, the limited belief in that you know, cause them not to participate. So when a female says, yo, don't fight, it's because you're weak as a female. Like biologically, you're not able to fight like a man. So therefore, that's why you're telling me. But when a man telling you not to fight, you say, okay, but he can fight, and he chooses not to fight. So therefore, maybe there's some sense into being that. When your mother say, yo, focus on your books, that's because the biggest artist as a female is not as rich as Carter, and the biggest cricketer as a female not as rich as Gayle, and the biggest footballer as a female not as rich as Messi. So therefore, you don't really understand what a man can get if we do those things. You have to be a nurse or a teacher, because you don't really get money unless a female is academic in the main. You understand? So therefore, you put so much intervening questioning of the impact of a woman, or of the instructions of a woman, because you basically don't think she knows
yes
as much as you know. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you look now, like 3 years ago, Jamaicans wouldn't come to me about goats then. But now, every time there's a goat, a person calls me because he believes I know. You understand? And so, therefore, I think that is one of the negatives. So my father, who was present, he died when I was 50. He continuously gave me the perspective that he knows because he's been there. He has done it. He's a male. And also the fear, the risk that he can really do some damage if he chooses to beat me. Because by the time you're 12, your mother beat you. It's a joke, you know what I mean? But when you say she can tell your father, yeah, you know, it's a different story altogether. So.
That is true, and I'm sure a lot of persons can definitely identify with that. But that's a positive note there in terms of, you know, the role of the fathers and the role of males in terms of the upbringing of our children. That is so crucial. And you just mentioned that he passed away at 15. So it's so interesting that even though he passed away when you were still quite young, but at the same time, the values and what he inculcated, like they have stuck with you all these years later.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a story. My father, he had cancer, right? So when I was going to a summer job, it was a summer, he died in August. I was going to a summer job the morning that he was going to die. And he was laying in the bed, he called me youth man. So he said, youth man, come here. And I went, right? Now, at that time, your father called me is a nuisance. You just want to go where you go, right? And he says, only thing we can left you is advice. And it really did hurt me now that I'm older, because what he was saying, he had no asset, he has nothing else. And I felt that he must have felt hurt by that circumstance, by that situation, that the only thing, feeling that it was his last, he could leave you his advice. I'm sure if he wished, he could leave you a house or some money or something. And again, that's one of the reasons why I keep lobbying for the NHT points to be a part of a willed system, that your parents should be able to will you the NHT points. So if he was able to will his points, his NHT benefits, I felt that he would have felt different from that morning, right? So sometimes when you make proposals, they are coming from experiences that you have had before. Now, thank the Lord, I would be able to lead my children much more than advice. But he always said, when he said that on the morning, and he said to me, your sisters will be able to find a husband to take care of them. This is 15, so this is 25 years ago. So we weren't at this point where we have women equal and women this and independence and all of that as it is now. He said, your sister will find a husband to take care of them, but you will have to take care of somebody. And so therefore, he was imploring upon me to start to take schoolwork serious, he said, because I can't manage hard work, because I was always very slim, you know. and he said, boy, I'm weak, you know, I can't really manage to lift, borrow and all them things. And by 1 o'clock, we get a call that he died. And that was because of the correlation between the time that he spoke to me and the death, it just always just kind of stick with me like that. You know?
Definitely. Wow, that is like a pivotal moment. And I definitely understand why that would be a life-defining moment. So for you then, that was the impetus and that was the drive that pushed you into all of the different things that you're doing and have done so far in your life.
Yeah, well, that is definitely what made me start with more academics, because that in 4th form now, I was in the dunces class at KC, 4th form. Teacher always just said, Crawford apply himself. We used to have Burn School, we call it Bun School, and all the other schools with a different epaulet and a different crest and all that foolishness, right?
Seriously?
So, yeah, so when my father died now, me going to 5th form, I just decide, say, yo, I'm going to show them and him what we can do. And so I form a crew with my friends who are still my best friends, called the Success School. So we were in the least academic 5th form, right? Coming out at 10 holding, so we're going to 11 Gibson, I think it was. And we even win the quiz. We just form a crew, 5 of us. There was a teacher called Miss Pottinger that just decided that she's not giving up, and a teacher called Miss Jones. And they used to have a thing called Rising Star chart. So when you get good grades, you go up on the Rising Star chart. And then if for any reason somebody passes you out and you're no longer in the top 10, you go on the Falling Star chart. So you might be 11th in the class, but you're up on the Falling Star chart. So you don't want that, right? So one of my friends now, he was from Waterhouse. He's now a lawyer, top lawyer in Jamaica. And another one who is at JMEA, he was from in Washington Boulevard. And another one from Seaview, he's now in America. He's a financial controller at one of the big companies. And another one from Old Harbor, he is now a coach. And we decided we form a crew called the Success Crew.
Yeah, you said.
And we have a song says Success Crew is never failure, right? And we formed this crew and we just start to put in the work. And they set up this quiz between we had 4 fifth form at KC because they repeated two 10 grades. So we had 10 grades and 4 fifth form. So they had this quiz where they put the bright business class versus us as the dunce class, and the bright science class versus the woodwork class. And they expected the finals to be between the bright science class and the bright business class. Well, we beat the bright business class, right? The team had 3 members of the success group, so it's a 4-member team. So 3 of us from the crew now is in the team. We beat them now, and we now go to the finals. Now, we were saying that the finals were unfair because clearly the questions were preset, right?
Yes.
So the dunce people now, right, quote unquote, right? Because you can't even say these things, the world has changed, right? So we weren't able to do foreign languages because we had to do religious education. KC felt that we needed Jesus in our life, right? So we had to do RE, and that RE was Luke and Acts, which is different from religious studies, which is like studying different religions. Yeah. So we just studied Luke and Acts, right? So when the questions were being asked, they were asked in like foreign languages, which we stopped doing from 9th grade. So anyway, it came down like a show to the last question. Now, this guy, his name was Magiban, I'll never forget. He's not in the crew, but he's on the team. Right? Yeah, Magiban, right? So they asked this last question. So Magiban, he was in the bright 10th grade. And unfortunately, his mother died and him kind of dropped back and end up in our 11th grade. But he did languages in 10th grade. And they asked a French question and he knew the answer.
Awesome.
I said, first of all, they're not give you a trophy for like 2 weeks. I would mash up the class, we fling out the decks, them out that door, everything. See? So what my father know was the reason why I made take it up. And then I started enjoying the success of it and the praise of it. But I also started enjoying proving people wrong, which is a part of my personality. Like when people laugh or whatever, that is all me the good thing. You know what I mean? I propose it on a political platform, Jamaica laugh and say, oh, no, and then we say, all right, I'm going to do it and show them. So I enjoyed now, like all the teachers with us, so we're not going to make it and just proving them wrong. So we started encouraging friends, and then eventually I was the 3rd best performer in CXC at KC, coming out of like the dance class. But at that year now, KC 6th form couldn't hold because like a whole heap away out of our class now. End up in a 6th form. So KC don't know what to do now, right? Normally, but that lady, Miss Patija, which I've never met her since she left KC when I was going to 6th form, and I've never met her again. Miss Patija and Miss Jones, those 2 people, to a lesser extent, Miss Official, you know. They still keep homework class, you know, we have to stay back at evening time and do homework, you know. So we find, yes, so them sit down with me, you know, and the next lady called Miss Douglas, which was the vice principal, right? So they sit with us in the classroom now, and we have to do homework. So we find out, say, Miss Jones only know history. So anytime she did, we had to do something else. We're not doing homework, you know, we just show her something and say, eat this and gone away. I should really know, like, POB and them. So, but, you know, so even one day she cried, you know, in the class. And I said, we're not going to turn teeth. And those people have influenced how people look upon being a teacher and things like that. So you know. So he made it start, but then other things intervene and just make it continue, you know.
And I really enjoyed that story just now because I like you mentioned the success crew. And again, a lot of times, especially as males, because we know Casey's an all-boys school, the males will identify with being, you know, in a gang, which is why sometimes they find that company and they have that friend or that, you know, that relationship, that link. So to have that, but to turn it for good in terms of like a success crew and you're aiming to be better and to elevate yourself, that was like awesome.
Remember now, again, Jamaica have a negative way of just positioning things and positioning boys. A group of 6 girls who are friends is not a gang. Yes. But a group of 6 boys who are friends is a gang.
Okay, so I definitely, as I mentioned, like the fact that you had the success crew and then that you've been on this journey, this path. All right, so moving forward, Damion, because we all know of you in terms of politics and your involvement in that. And one of the things I've always wanted to find out from you, which I like to find out from trailblazers as well, who have been on this program, is how do you bounce back after a failure? Because you've had many successes, but also you've had quite a bit of failures, and especially having those failures in a national public spotlight. How do you deal with that?
Well, as I said, failing is one thing. Failing publicly is a very hard thing. Especially if the public assume that you would succeed. You understand? So when you have a public failure, there is no private dealing with a public failure. You understand? But as I said, I have a warped self-confidence in that I have a excessively high confidence in myself, right? So by extension, I've often applied what we call selective distortion. At the point that I feel it is because I never did do enough, but I can do enough, or it's because those people never understood what I was doing. And so by extension, they are the ones that are failing really. So I distort it and then seek to prove myself correct. So as I said, with the goatee, you understand? So I've always seek and found pleasure in saying me have the last laugh, you know? And nowadays, Jamaica is an anti-failing environment. That's one of the highest risk in starting a business, because if you fail in doing a business, you're ridiculed. That don't really have the same reality with the United States, for example. They embrace trying again. Jamaica don't really embrace that. You understand? Failure is laughed at, is ridiculed. And so by extension, I always like to say, all right, but 2 year time, I will prove to have been correct.
Okay. And I like the point where you mentioned in terms of like even the goat, the goat incident and so forth. But even in terms of, as our viewers know, it's not a political program, but even in terms of running, different constituencies and then the outcome not being what maybe you had anticipated. Again, that is in a public way. So I know it must be disheartening, but at the same time, how do you bounce back from that? How did you, and how also would you advise other persons, whatever sphere of life they're in, when they've had those moments where they're like, this, we can't believe this.
Casey has assisted because it kept telling us the brave may fall but never yield.
Repeat that part.
I said Casey kept telling us that the brave may fall but never yield. 40 scholars said or non protest. So that assisted and has assisted in my mindset. The fact that I've seen many low and become high also give you confidence that while you're low, it is not the end of the road, because you have seen the examples of people who have been low and eventually become high. For example, as I said, P.J. Patterson also lost an election and then he became the prime minister of the country, So you look at those as well to say, are there examples of people who have beat the same thing that I am suffering with? If it's in business, if it's in class, if it's in education, whatever. So a child watching this now say, oh, we can't do maths. Is there another person who at this stage couldn't do maths and then them good at it? You understand? And what did they do? What were their interventions? I pull on that. But I also have the same circle that I had from the age of 40. Wow. You understand? So those are my friends. And once anything like this happens, them circle around. You know what I mean? And they're just hyping you. They're saying, listen, yo, Virgin are the best speeches never hear. I can't believe the people. Virgin, you're the best politician never say, whatever. You're the best businessman. And they circle around and say, what's next? You know, what to do? So because I have that same circle who laugh at me, who don't only gas me because they want to be in the circle. They're automatic. And so I value that. I value those more and say, we call them the group called Forward Crawford. And when we go in that group, we know it's openness. I'm gonna tell you where you go wrong, I'm gonna tell you where you go right, but it's total support.
Yeah.
You know. So when I stop watching YouTube or stop watching Facebook for a month or two just to recoup, I go to that core group, you know.
Yes. And I like the fact that you have those friends still, because they would have known you from back in the days and your journey and your story, so they know that, yeah, you can do it. That's awesome. All right, so moving things along quickly because we're out of time. But in terms of Crafton Holdings, which is your business, you're the managing director for that. Why did you decide to venture into that? I was listening to something where you shared that you had like 8 businesses and you had failures in that as well. You still try again. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I've been trying different businesses, mostly as a hustle. It is after learning what a business is, I will be able to separate a business from a hustle. And many Jamaicans hustle more than do a business. So I tried keeping parties at UA. I tried selling T-shirts. I have a brand called Crazy Wear. When I called Kuya and them thing, the T-shirt was the top thing. We tried that. Started a book rental system at UA called Bookstray. Before these Gustapos and those things, about 8 years ago, I started Yard Travel, where we were doing discounted hotel rooms for Jamaicans out of my living room. So, you know, I'm an ideas person. I always have an idea. And out of those ideas, I'm a risk taker as well, so I'm willing to try. I have friends who are willing to tell you to try or put some money behind you to try. And so I've tried all those things.
So what would you say then in terms of what you're doing now with your business? I know you've even won awards already. Even
you were the best new manufacturer for the JMEA in 2018.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember seeing that. Yes, so I mean, so having that success, you know, after all of these different businesses that you've tried and failed at, and with the pandemic, like, how have you managed to fare with all of that's happening?
Oh, it's also been very difficult because we sell mainly hotels. So we do pasteurized eggs for the hotel industry, and the hotel industry have been on its face basically. And one of the negatives people don't understand is that there's a critical mass that if you don't do that much, it don't make no sense to do it. So when a hotel order like 5 cases, it don't make no sense to deliver it to Westmoreland in our truck. You understand? But when it's at full peak, it order 40 and 7 hotels beside it offer 40. So you have a full truck. So yeah, it has been difficult. But if you watch my social media space, I am expanding my business in preparation for when the return comes, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, opportunity meet preparedness. That's what they call luck. So when the actual hotels come back up and say, we want eggs, enough people who did stop or never prepare, now I have no egg, I will get that market share. You understand? So I am now in that mindset that, okay, this is my current circumstance. How do I ensure I don't die? And then how do I ensure that having survived, I then benefit? Yes. And that is how mine works. So again, mathematically, we're just looking for X, you know?
Wow, that's awesome. All right, Damion, we're winding down, but if your dad was looking on, as you know, if he was alive, what do you think he would say to you?
I think he'd be proud at how brave I am, because he always felt that you should be brave, in your opinion, in anything. Like when we're watching news and him say, what do you think? If you think something before, don't change it because him say no. Explain why you did think so. And then if you're convinced by his argument, accept, but first explain. So he always was of the view that you should be brave in thought and brave in action. He felt that a man had to be that. And I think he would have, because I have been brave. I've been on the lesser side of many arguments as it relates to support. But I still feel how this may feel. Indy comes one of them, you know. So yeah, I think he'd be proud of that bravery. I'm not sure if he'd agree with everything, but he'd be proud that I'm willing to think for myself.
And do you still think, because as you mentioned, your uncle, he's in another party, you're in a different party, but that's, you know, politics for you. But do you think his aspiration for you in terms of being a prime minister one day will happen?
Well, I'm not sure. I hope so. But I come to accept that he really just wanted to be prime minister like a leader. So therefore, Butch Stewart wasn't the prime minister, but what was his influence? He was a leader in his industry. Lee Chin wasn't the prime minister, but what has been his influence? So because he didn't have that exposure to these other types of people, I think prime minister was really saying he wanted me to be a person of influence and a leader of men. And so I'm sure I'll achieve that. It is up to the public if I'll achieve the position of prime minister, but I'm sure I'll achieve what I believe he wanted, which was a leader of opinions and of men.
Definitely, you are no doubt a person of influence and have been positively leading. Yes, sometimes controversial, but like you mentioned, there's a space for that. My final question to you, which I generally like to end with for all our aspiring trailblazers, people that just tune into this interview and they are going through whatever situation, but you know, they want to make it. They want to do something big with their lives. They've had failures like you. They've also had successes, but they're at this brink now where they're like, how do I get things together? How do I achieve? What would you want to share? Like your tips or your strategies that you think are proven to achieve success no matter your failures?
Yeah, well, firstly, I like to ask them to advise them that it is nonsensical to rob yourself, to not give yourself what you deserve. So therefore, if I have decided in my mind the life that I deserve, like to go hospital when I'm sick and to eat when I'm hungry and to have a room of privacy, if I have that in my mind, that's the life that I deserve, there is no point that I will stop in trying different things to achieve that life, because why would I rob myself of what I deserve? So that is what pushes me. I think I deserve certain things. I think I deserve to can see a foreign country. I think I deserve to can have a vacation. I think I deserve to comfortably be able to send my child to the school of his or her choice. And by extension, knowing that I deserve that, in my mind, I continue putting effort because I'm not going to rob myself. Something have to rob me of it, but I'm not going to rob myself. So the system, the situation, the circumstance, other people may rob me of it, but I am not going to be. Lack of effort won't be the basis upon which I don't get what I deserve. You understand? Because that would be me robbing myself. I mean, not try to.
Wow, live the life you deserve, work towards it. That is some words of wisdom. One of the things I always enjoy about you, you're always giving some sound advice, some sound inspirational words. So thank you so much.
I thought it was my smile.
Thank you so much for sharing on the program. We really appreciate you sharing. And no doubt, we perhaps need to do a part 2. Thank you so much for sharing and keep on blazing your trail.
All right. Thank you, Danny. Cool.
Hey everyone, I am Tamar McHale, television presenter, producer, and communication specialist, as well as producer and host of the Trailblazer series. I'm inviting you to join the family. All you have to do is just click that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're alerted as to when we have new episodes. And just join our family for weekly inspirational and edifying episodes that will not only lift your spirits, but will give you the tools, the keys, and the strategies that you need so that you can blaze your trail.